Oh, this guy down at the bottom here being...
That's how they would take people around.
Yeah.
Amazing. Part of that is the inside of the church.
Yeah.
And looking at the compound from above.
Yeah.
I think most of these pictures were taken by Edward Kingsley Lowry, who was my great uncle. This is when she first started the album, like we all do. She got tired of it.
Yeah.
That's the compound. High 90.
And there's
Margaret,
Homer,
Mary, and Betty.
Yeah. So
this would be Margaret, and this would be my mother. That would be Homer, and that would be Betty. So this is Homer, actually.
The bottom left
yeah,
is
with
Homer.
the big hat. Well, that's inside their home in Beijing.
Yeah.
This man is probably Uncle Edward,
Lower left.
George's brother. This is a picture of the entire compound, and you're looking at it from H.H. Lowry's home, which is here, down to the church, which is there.
Oh, at the very other end.
So you're looking toward the church from the very end of the compound.
And these are all the kids.
And now we have a new baby, and this is Irma.
Irma, the little baby.
So there's two pictures of Homer in here.
Oh, two pictures, okay. Upper left and lower right.
Yes.
And then that looks like Elizabeth.
That's Elizabeth. And in the middle is Margaret.
Uh-huh.
And the lower left is Mary. It's a ceremony, and this may be after the Empress came back to Beijing after the Boxer Rebellion. It may be from that era, but I'm not sure.
And you're saying you just, from what you had mentioned earlier about new information that you...
H.H. Lowry, there's an article that I have in my genealogy now in which he states that he felt that the missionaries were responsible for the Boxer Rebellion. And a lot of them were killed. A lot of Boxers and a lot of missionaries were killed.
Beta Ho.
And it's not spelled that way. It's spelled P. I think it's P-A-I. Da, D-A-H-O. And they built a home there, and they had a home there. And, of course, the Chinese government took it over. Even though it was their property, there was no way for us to get it back.
And that's the...
So that would be, it looks like that's Irma with her High 90, whose name probably wasn't High 90, it was probably something else 90.
So 90 is like nurse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they went up there for the summer. And that, up on the right, Cora, all dressed up, ready to go to church or someplace.
Yeah.
She was a beautiful woman. And there's Grandpa Lowry going home on leave.
Oh,
they went home on leave every 2 years, may have been every 4 years, but they went home, and he was there during the Boxer Rebellion. They weren't in China, so they were safe.
They were home.
They were home they were actually in Philadelphia with one of their children.
Okay. And who was in the Boxer Rebellion from our family?
Well, George, my grandfather, was there.
Right.
Cora and the children escaped. Homer was ill, so they were not in Beijing when this happened. They were in between Beijing and Shanghai in a town where there was a hospital, I guess. And that's all in her story. So they were able to go from there and get on the train. And Herbert Hoover and his wife were on the same train. And according to family legend, Herbert Hoover carried my mother for my grandmother. That's when they were in Idaho. This is 19, and the two top pictures are showing, I think that's the boys' school, college school, whatever, probably like a high school. And they're doing
Calisthenics?
Calisthenic,
Yeah.
that's it. And then you can see Homer's below that, and Homer and Irma are below that.
Looks like snow there on the bottom
Well, it could
right.
be snow. I'm sure it snows in Beijing. (1907). The two top pictures are their home in
Okay,
Beijing.
This is where they lived.
And then I believe the picture in the middle on the right is the girls' school.
Okay. And they taught at the girl. So
They taught them, well, they even taught them embroidery, I think. When Dart and I were there in 1985, there was a very old lady in church that day who came out, and she had gone to that girls' school when she was young. She was a Methodist, and she had gone to school there. And I think that probably Cora worked with that school, though I don't know exactly what she did there. She had a lot of children, but she also had a lot of servants to run, so she may not have been that involved with it. But
and this is a church. This is a school within the compound.
yeah, it's right next to the church. The church, when you go in the gate at the compound, the church is on your left, and the girls' school is on your right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they had a girls' school and they had a boys' school.
Yeah, the girls' school is much smaller.
Yeah. And it was the Methodist.
Yes, Methodist
Missionaries had run the school and opened the school up.
That's right.
My
mother loved kittens and dolls.
Oh.
So she was, and it looks like here in the left, the first one down, it looks like somebody is making sure everybody is doing what they're supposed to do to me.
Yeah.
Almost like lining the servants up and checking them all out.
Right. We don't know who that is in that picture.
I can't tell from this. So the twins arrived. And so this is 1907.
Okay.
We know that.
Okay. I'm glad.
And I have somewhere in my thing, I have all these sweet little notes that the missionaries and the friends of Grandma sent to her when the twins arrived.
Oh, how cute!
You know, about how wonderful it all was, and all this in very Victorian language.
Well, that's neat.
There's pictures of Grandpa Lowry working in his garden in Idaho.
Just the compound.
That's
Now this is this still there? But there was something that turned into a fire station. There was a.
Is the ground up?
Yeah.
I don't remember what that is, and I have it in my album. I took that picture out and enlarged it so that I could read what it said. That's the hospital. 26 and 27 are the...
Oh, no, 27 I guess it was. Yeah, 27.
Yeah.
And now who's the doctor here?
I do not know.
Oh, so we don't know who the doctor...
This is George.
Okay, George is on the
third one down.
Third one down. Okay.
And he was a surgeon.
Oh.
He did not believe in acupuncture. Because, of course, when they were in China, they didn't sterilize the needles. They didn't do anything. They just poked them in. And that's the hospital. And Dart and I went to the hospital when we were there. We went to the compound and the hospital.
This is 28. Okay.
And that is not the hospital that we saw.
Oh.
So what is that? Looks like it had to be the hospital, but it didn't seem like it was that big.
the hair was called
Q.
They're Q.
Yeah. And my mother would not let me wear my hair in a single braid in the back when I was growing up, because to her, it made me look like a Chinese coolie.
Uh-huh.
And even though Uncle George had friends who were Chinese, he always felt that they weren't quite as good as he was.
Uh-huh.
This was just ingrained in them. You know, they just...
It was a very separate
yeah, this
feeling.
is probably a medical, I would say this is a medical school, probably in the hospital.
Uh-huh. And this is how they would measure.
Well, it looks pretty...
It looks pretty much like that. Okay,
It wasn't until Mao took over that they cut off their queues, pigtails,
Yeah.
queues.
Did that symbolize anything for them?
To them, it was the way they got up to heaven.
Really?
Whoever was in charge would pick them up by their queue and take them up to heaven. That's basically the twins growing up, and the Irma and Margaret with
Yeah.
them. They were a very close family.
Good job.
Now here we are back in Betaho.
Uh-huh. Their summer home.
Uh-huh. The two little twin girls, Chinese twin girls that you see, are the daughters of the wet nurse that was hired to feed the twins because Grandma didn't have enough milk for both babies. They tried that's when she got so heavy. They tried feeding her and feeding her and feeding her, hoping that would make her have more milk. And it didn't work. She just got heavy. So they hired this lady who had little twin girls, and they stayed with them until the twins were weaned.
There's the Great Wall.
Yeah.
How far? Now, that goes... I'm not
over 3,000 miles.
But that goes... Does that go through Beijing?
No,
No, it's not near there.
It's outside.
Yeah.
The camel in the lower left is still there. Dart and I saw him.
Oh. And he's where?
He's on the way out to the Ming Tombs. The road out
Okay.
to the Ming Tombs. The middle picture, that statue is still there as well. The bottom left-hand picture I know is Cora's mother, Mary, Cora, and I don't know who the third lady is.
Quite, look at that hat. Wow.
Yeah. And there the twins are all dressed up for something. Oh, and this is the Lowry family.
That's a good picture.
Yeah, I believe this was taken in the States.
And so from left to right, we've got
Irma,
Betty,
Homer,
Mary,
Margaret, George Sr.,
It
Dave.
No, right here.
Dave. Mabel Davis Lowry, Dave. Kit and Dave.
Oh.
The twins were called Kit and Dave. She wasn't going to be called Mabel.
Dave.
They came back to the States in 1921. They were hot babes in those days. Grandma almost went out of her mind because she was so worried about them. They were, the gay 90s,
Yeah.
whatever they call the 20s.
Yeah, roaring. They were
The
roaring.
roaring 20s, and that's Cora, and then Kit.
Okay. Now I remember visiting Kit
Yeah.
down in Pacific Grove.